Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's session for Teachers of Eureka Math Teaks Edition. Today, we're going to focus on module internalization. My name's Callie Gonzalez. I am here asynchronously with you. So if you want to speed this up, feel free to do that. There is the link for the deck, your handout. There's also a first grade example that we're going to refer to as well. So go ahead and get yourself oriented before we move into this session. Again, like I just said, we're going to be using these three things. So please make sure that one thing I didn't mention is there is the protocol. You will be asked to take a quiz, and I bet you anything there's going to be stuff on the protocol. So please make sure that you look at that along as you are journeying with me through this session. So again, here are some norms. Feel free to go ahead and choose one norm that you really want to lean into. All right. So as you can see in our guided notes, the goal of this learning is to prepare you to effectively internalize a module. Module internalization is a practice you'll engage in about every month or so throughout the year. So it's a process that it's important to get to know. Today is a step one on that journey, and each module you'll internalize will get easier and more clear. And today we're going to get an introduction to it. So we have 5 parts to our learning. We've already done our overview, so let's spend some time looking at the components of a module and spend the bulk of our time digging into the internalization protocol and process. So I'm going to voice over some components of Eureka Math Teaks Edition module overview. This is going to be one of the most impactful resources to understand the development of concepts and the coherence of content. We need to know all the information provided by the instructional materials so we can best maximize its benefits. If you'd like to follow along in the Module 1 overview, you can, or you can just listen. If you have any questions as we go, feel free to email me as you have questions. I'm always available. So the first thing you're going to see is the module overview narrative. This section describes the arc of learning for the module. And you can see that the TEKs, both foundational and grade level, are called out in this narrative. When you read this, pay attention to how the content builds from one topic to the next. When I read the overview narrative, I do a lot of annotations to help me understand the information. At the bottom of this overview narrative, you'll see a pacing section. These notes can be used to supplement the decisions in the pacing guide provided by your district. So creating a calendar that shows what lesson is taught on each day is really going to help align your grade level team and yourself. So there are 3 types of standards listed in the module overview. Focus grade level standards are the grade level TEKs. Eureka Math Teaks Edition is designed to fully cover the TEKs, but remember that not all of these standards will be mastered in Module 1. Many are revisited throughout the year. Foundational standards are connected to the grade level TEKs in the module and represent the TEKs taught in prior years or in current grade, but in an earlier module. And then focus mathematical process standards are the process TEKs. These are the same across grade levels and work alongside the content TEKs in your grade level. So go ahead and take a second and just absorb all of that. If you have an upcoming module component, module overview, I would absolutely, or your current module overview, I would absolutely pause this and look at these 3 components here. So after the standards, you're going to find this progression. It includes the TEKs, the ELPS or English language proficiency standards, topic titles, lesson objectives, and the number of days for each topic. This was one of my favorites, especially when I was supporting teachers internalizing topics and modules. Each lesson in here takes 1 day to teach. If a full lesson is not taught within a day, teachers are going to reflect on why and how the pacing was off, then move on the next day. Content is always spiraled, so students will get another chance to explore what was missed. When you read this overview, you'll look through the topic titles and lesson objectives to see how the content builds. The math in each module is taught in a progression. It may go from simple to complex numbers, from concrete to representational to abstract, and or layer in multiple models. So when it comes to the instructional days, you'll find that assessments are given more than one day in the module. So time is built in to respond to the assessment data, not just collect it. When you review the terminology list, you'll see that it's categorized into new vocabulary, and those students should already be familiar with. Those familiar terms and symbols can support teachers' scaffolding choices. You'll also find a list and often visuals of the suggested tools and representations. So take note of which models will be familiar to you and which ones you'll need to learn more about, and especially for your kids. Since Module 1 is the first of the year, it includes a good amount of supplemental information not found in other modules. I encourage you to take time to read through the guidance on sprints, redraw right, personal whiteboards, scaffolds, and self-reflections. They are a great resource, not only as you are learning Eureka Math, but throughout the year as you visit routines and build on your skills. It takes time to read, but it's important foundational knowledge and can help you think through how you establish strong classroom systems at the start of the year. So now that we've walked through the module components, take 30 seconds to reflect silently to yourself. What are you seeing the RBs reflected? How do these module components support your vision for excellent math instruction? Now that we know what's in Eureka Math Teaks Edition module, let's review the internalization protocol so we can use it to prepare for Module 1. All right, when we use high quality instructional materials like Eureka, it requires a different approach because instead of planning, now you are preparing or internalizing. Because HQIM, everything is included. And so it's more important you spend time to understand the nuances of the materials rather than create anything. And so the difference between creating units and lesson plans from scratch and internalizing can be thought of as huge. It's a big difference between planning and prepping. When planning for instruction, you have a lot of decisions to make about which materials to use, where to find them, but when using Eureka Math Edition, that strategic thinking, it's already done for you. And so you need now, the work is around prepping to teach around your specific students and ensuring understanding of the intent of the materials. So take a moment to review some of the shifts down on the slide that illuminate the idea in more detail. All right. So now this is when you're going to click on the link to the internalization protocol doc. Take a few minutes. We're going to take 5 minutes and you're going to pause here. Anytime I say take a second, feel free to pause and give yourself as much time as you need to absorb the material. And consider the 2 questions on the slide. What is similar to the planning process you've used, and what will be new for you? Pause. All right, welcome back. You'll notice there are 4 main steps in this process. If you teach Amplify, you'll notice it's the same 4 steps across both products. It's the bullets below each step that give specific directions for Eureka Math Teaks Edition. Ideally, this process will take you about 45 minutes, but we've all experienced learning a new skill, and we know it takes us a little bit longer in the beginning. So many teachers reported getting significantly more efficient and effective with their module internalization throughout the year. So let's get into the heart of our learning. I'm going to be referring to the grade 1, module 1. But again, if you want to refer to mine, but then look at your module overview, feel free. So typically, this step is done before engaging in the collaborative module internalization process. And you'll do with the teachers and your coach. However, To respect your time, we did not assign pre-works. We're going to give you time now to read the narrative overview at the start of the module. And as you read, there's a space in your guided notes to capture your thoughts. I'm going to model the first grade, but if you'd rather do your own grade, that's totally cool. So let's go ahead and pause, give yourself about 5 minutes of reading time, and then let's bring us back together. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you paused for 5 minutes and you read the module overview. And so we're getting a quick intro now. You'll want to spend more time reading later, and it's okay if you didn't finish. So, why is this module important, you ask? So, feel free to go ahead and stop and jot why you think this module is important. But when I completed step 1, I use the module overview primarily. I annotated and highlighted a lot, but I also look at terminology and the topic overviews to answer the question, why is this important? Sometimes I look at the module titles in the grade as a whole. For example, in first grade, I see the module 1, they add and subtract within 10. And then later modules, they add and subtract within 20 and 40, and then 100. So I know from that module 1 is going to lay a foundation for the rest of the year. It's similar in third grade. I see the topic of multiplication comes up again later in the year, and that informs my module internalization. So how does this impact you as you teach? How does this impact your students? So some of you might think it builds teacher understanding of the knowledge and skills. It helps teachers begin to see the coherence within the modules. And it also helps you see your part in the impact as they walk through the grades of K-5. We also think about the intentionality of the sequential order of these modules. We've seen schools when they're like, I want to teach module 4 first, and then we're going to skip this module. What you need to realize is that the impact on student learning in the future that has very negative impact. And so please make sure that you are always teaching everything in order. All right, we don't have time to go through the entire process together. So we're going to shift to discussing steps 2 and 3. So step 2 is all about knowing where you're going so that all of your instructional decisions can get you to that goal. So in this step, you'll read the overview of module topics, lesson objectives as shown on the slide, and complete the end of module assessment. Always. It's so important that you don't complete the assessment using just your adult knowledge of math. You may know that given 9 total ducks with 2 grown-up ducks, that leaves 7 baby ducks without needing to draw a picture. But if the assessment requires students to draw a picture and show the number sentence, you need to complete that yourself. What this does is it pushes you to understand the module strategies and the terminology that's critical for student success on the assessment. It may require diving into the lessons a little bit or asking your coach to show you. We are all learners of math. You're never done growing your content knowledge, so it's okay to not know something. Ask questions, dig into the work. So, if you've identified the critical knowledge and skill for the assessment, what impact will that have on your students and on your instruction? Some of you may be thinking, this is going to prevent any surprise when you get to the assessment. It also helps you draw connections throughout the module and really make those instructional decisions as you internalize lessons. So step 3, this is all about the arc of learning. You use all the same resources from the previous 2 steps, the module overview, the terminology list, the topic overview, and assessments. You look at the suggested tools and representations. The goal is to make connections across all these components to understand how the math is taught in the arc of learning. How does it move from simple to complex? And what impact does that have on providing access to grade level content? This is such a fun step because You, you're digging into the content knowledge and probably going to learn more about math than you knew before. So, if you were able to clearly and confidently explain how the math in the module was delivered in an arc learning, moving from simple to complex, what impact would that have on your instruction? Right. If you were thinking about how this will help you see how concepts are spiraled throughout the module, you are correct. So, step four is simple, but an important one. You're going to organize your resources. Who are the people you may need to connect with, like your special education partner teacher? What manipulatives does this module require? How might you need to organize it? Taking this step to front to identify the organize your resources will prepare you to start the year with strong systems in place. Like, do I need whiteboards? How am I going to pass those out? What is my management system? So I don't take up my pacing time within the lesson. I've already thought through this and I've practiced these routines myself. There are a few places to look to complete step four: the module overview, the suggested tools, and within the lessons themselves, you'll see materials list under each lesson component. We want to leave you with a few big picture best practices to guide your work. That applies to K5. Go ahead and review the best practices, especially the last one. All right, everyone, you finished a very fast TEKS module internalization session. But now your job is not done. Your job is to go through the protocol and really do a strong deep dive of each step. Please make sure that you get credit by watching the session through taking the quiz. Remember that, put your name, your school, and always ensure the provider you put is Achievement Network. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day, and I will see you at a next session.